50 Berkeley Square by Sami Ibrahim.
This is a ghost story. Boo. At least, some of it's a ghost story. And anyway, it's a true story. As true as possible to be within the limits of the available facts. 50 Berkeley Square. That's where we are. Just a regular house. No. An aristocratic house. Excellent location. Prime real estate. And it's a still summer night in London in 1840. A gunshot is heard in the early hours. A man is dead. But the man is not killed by the gunshot. The gunshot simply happens moments before his death. And how the man died can in part be inferred from a short police interview given by the maid of 50 Berkeley Square. She doesn't have a name, by the way. That's been lost. But the report tells us that she enters the attic because she hears the shot being fired. The maid, of course, has a key, which is how she gains access. Inside, she finds the body of a man, a guest. The man is called Robert Warboys. Was, I suppose. His death is not a natural death. It is one of scorching pain, his body contorted in a manner that can only be best described as arachnid. Maybe the maid rushes over to the man. Maybe she leaves him be. Either way, he goes silent. The man cannot be helped or saved. He simply withers across life's finishing line. And as the maid looks around the room, only her eyes flicking, she sees a hole in the wall. The spot where, presumably, a bullet struck moments earlier. Robert Warboys, it seems, fired a pistol to defend himself. He was under threat from something. Something. Which killed him. And that's it. Simple. Except it's not. Of course it's not. Because this story is true. And true stories are never simple. And a death is never just a death. It's a pressure point of different perspectives. Each has their own version of events. That was the maid's version, and this, now, is Robert's, from his own diary. Robert arrives at this property only a few hours earlier, some time before sunset. He arrives with a friend called James Meord. They are here because the address, 50 Berkeley Square, is famous. In fact, you might know it. It is an address that is known to be haunted. And you might not believe in ghosts. That's absolutely fine. I understand we live in a cynical age. But that's what the people used to believe, and that's what some people still do believe. A belief that this house, more specifically the attic of this house, is haunted. And the two men knock on the front door of this haunted house. Like that. Before they introduce themselves.
Robert Warboys.
James Meord.
And are led through to a drawing room where they wait. And then to a dining room where they wait a little longer before meeting a man named
Uppingham.
The owner and landlord of 50 Berkeley Square, who now smiles at his two guests across a mahogany table, a dining table, at which the group is eating a modest dinner of soup and bread. Like that. Except I haven't mentioned the important part. You see, Robert Warboys and James Meord are in this house for a very specific reason. They are here for the purposes of...
A bet.
A bet? And what form does this bet take?
It's more of a dare.
With money involved.
All good dares involve money. A lot of money?
A lot more than James can afford.
There's no need to be cruel.
It's just the truth.
He's only being cruel because he's nervous.
You're nervous?
No, I don't believe in ghosts, so I've got nothing to be nervous about.
Ah, so it's a ghost-related dare.
Yes.
It always is. Sounds a little childish to me.
It is childish.
And yet he's still taking part.
Only to prove a point.
He's taking part because I riled him up.
I'm taking part because it's the easiest money I have ever or will ever earn.
I thought that was your inheritance.
Are we done bickering? So, it appears that Mr. Robert Warboys here has been dared to stay in my house.
In the attic?
In the attic of my house, with the ghost of 50 Berkeley Square. And for how many nights are you supposed to stay in my attic?
1.
1 night. That's all?
That's all.
Fine. All very simple, then. Let's enjoy the meal. Let's relax.
Is that it?
Should there be anything else?
Aren't you going to warn me about the famous ghost of Berkeley Square? How I'm playing with fire, how I shouldn't be so certain that ghosts don't exist, how I only need to look at the numbers that have perished in the haunted eaves of this house, how I can't even be certain I'll survive the night, not when some unknown evil lurks in every corner of that horrid attic.
No, not at all. In fact, I was going to ask if you wanted more soup.
Those men are all much of a muchness, aren't they? This is a story about men. Rich men. Old-fashioned, entitled, petty men. And that's what happens. They all bleed into one. But don't worry. At least one of them will get his comeuppance. For now, we have to leave them at the dining room table, because we can't be sure how dinner ended. The diary of Robert Warboys, while precise and detailed in many areas, is strangely vague on the events of that evening's meal. Robert simply brings things to a close and instead skips forward to later in the evening, to the moment where he is saying,
Good night.
to James Meord.
Good night, Robert.
I'll see you in the morning. Oh, James, don't look so glum.
I'm not glum.
But your face tells a different story. Don't forget, you haven't lost.
I know.
Yet. But when you do lose, I'm sure we can arrange some kind of repayment system to help you. I know, times are tough.
Oh, that's very kind.
Sleep well, James.
And Robert Warboys strolls off. He mounts the steps to the attic and James Meord watches him. In fact, we know that James Meord watches his friend climb the stairs because James Meord keeps his own diary of the evening. A different version of events, in which James Meord instead describes how Robert Warboys says,
Good night.
at the foot of the attic stairs. And when James responds,
Good night, Robert.
he can see that his friend is, according to him, nervous and shivering.
I'll see you in the
Are
morning.
you all right?
I'm fine.
Are you going to go upstairs?
In a minute.
You don't have to do this, you know.
I know. I just pity you. I feel bad taking your money.
You haven't taken it yet.
I will.
Except first you have to enter the attic. Or you can back out.
I'm going. I'm gone.
Sleep well, Robert.
And after that, we have no evidence as to whether James Meord remained at 50 Berkeley Square overnight or instead returned to his own home. His diary has sporadic pages missing from it, inevitably. And of course, we can't rely on the diary of Robert Warboys because it ends sometime in the middle of the night, when Robert Warboys lifts the nib of his pen off the page for good. But let's assume that Robert Warboys is alone. He sits alone in the attic, writing his diary. He describes how he's brought tea by a maid.
Come in.
He describes the subtle taste of the tea, the sweet and bitter flavours dancing on his tongue. It's all a bit pretentious. But then the maid is gone, and Robert Warboys writes that he can hear the ringing of a bell. A servant's bell is being rung somewhere in the house. It is constant and infuriating. He waits for someone to answer it, but they never do. He opens the door to the attic.
Hello?
But the darkness below looks ready to swallow him up, so he heads back inside, staying close to the lick of a candle flame. Still, the bell is ringing. He is aware that witnesses of the ghost of Berkeley Square have often reported the sound of a ringing bell. He's also aware that the ringing could be caused by, say, the wind. Either way, it is drilling into his head. It is constant and scream-inducing. And Robert, he stops writing. Mid-sentence, his pen simply stops scribbling. And Robert will never write another word, which means what happened next is an act of imagination. Can you imagine it? All of it. The attic room, the pitch black, the humidity like a thick fur coat. We know Robert is about to die. And something hangs in the air. Something strong enough to ring that bell, perhaps. Something strong enough to make Robert fire his gun. Something which haunts the room he's in. And maybe you think this ghost stuff is nonsense. Maybe you don't believe in it. But imagine you did. The small hours, the world rocking in its sleep. Just the time to imagine strange things. Robert is alone, he tells himself. He is alone. But then he picks up the candle. The door to the attic is still open and Robert stares out. At the foot of the stairs, he thinks he can see the outline of a figure. When he blinks, the figure is gone. Robert waits and he listens and he hears nothing. There is alcohol and adrenaline in his blood. His senses are spiked. And he can't tell which sounds exist in his mind and which sounds are really there. He keeps blinking, but that soft scratching doesn't go away. From the stairwell outside the attic, it is there, and then it is louder. The slow sound of metal being drawn across wood. Robert's eyes are fixed on the entrance to the attic, waiting, trying to make out anything. Until a soft whistle of air blows his candle out. He blinks furiously, and he is starting to think that something might emerge from the darkness. He is willing it not to happen. He's being stupid. He knows nothing will happen. He is over-worrying. But the darkness is refusing to budge. He keeps blinking. He is being stupid. He is repeating to himself.
Nothing will emerge from the darkness. Nothing will emerge from the darkness.
But something does. And Robert Warboys slams the door to the attic shut. He locks the door, scrambles across the attic floor, tries to escape, but it's too late. The next morning, when Robert Warboys is taken to the morgue, his underwear is filled with a thin gruel of diarrhea and urine. The autopsy reports that he has 3 broken bones in his left hand. The report also expresses uncertainty as to the exact cause of death, but it does not rule out the supernatural.
Oh. So what killed him?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Well, I'm still figuring out how important it is.
But you think it was a ghost?
Of course not. Well, obviously I don't think it was a ghost, but it was clearly...
An apparition?
No.
A spirit?
Peter, I'm being serious. This isn't...
A phantom?
Do you think you're being funny?
Am I not?
Look, I'm just saying there were a spate of deaths in that house, in that particular attic, and it's interesting to ask why people assumed it was a ghost and not an actual human murderer.
So who was the actual human murderer?
I don't know. Maybe the deaths were unrelated. Maybe they're all linked.
By a ghost?
No.
Martha?
What?
Is this all you have?
What do you mean?
This is all your research?
All my research.
It feels a little light.
I've collated diaries, house logs, witness testimonies. I've looked at a whole load of sources to do with class relations, property ownership, the presence of the supernatural. It's... Do you have to sigh? What's the problem?
The language is all a bit florid for a PhD.
Maybe it's a ghost story.
It's a PhD. The whole thing needs more rigour.
Okay, be more rigorous. Tick.
What about the gaps in the story?
I'm using my imagination.
Don't. You're a historian.
Peter, you don't really think like that.
I am just here to advise you on the best course of action.
I think it's heading in the right direction.
Well, of course you do. How long before it gets reviewed?
Enough time.
A couple of weeks. Is that right?
I think so.
So you need something more concrete.
What does that mean?
Local folklore and the ghosts of 1840s London.
Yes.
Right? It's a good title. It's a promising start.
So, don't give me that cynical look, Peter. There's something in this.
I just worry it's not enough.
You've been supporting me this whole time.
Except now I'm reading the final thing, and
Rescinding your support?
I'm your supervisor. I'm supposed to ask difficult questions, and frankly, you can't build a PhD by chasing after ghost stories.
I'm using the ghost story as a social commentary.
I know. Maybe you need to solve the murder.
That's not the point.
Why?
Because it's not about who really did it. It's about the psychosocial effects of the supernatural.
Well, that's great. It's amazing, but it is also very airy-fairy.
Excuse me?
If you figure out who really did it, then you can use that answer to examine the psychosocial...
The psychosocial effects of the supernatural.
You want to get work off the back of this, right?
Yes.
Right. So, hard facts, well-researched, delivered neutrally.
Look, I know I've only got 15 minutes.
We're about to shut.
I know, but I've been sent back to trawl through this stuff and need to look at the house log before...
Problem is, it'll take me 15 minutes to find whatever it is you're after.
What if I know exactly where it is?
That's not the point.
I need 10 minutes in the archive. I'll be in and out, I swear.
Everyone always says they'll be in and out.
But they're lying and I'm not. Please?
10 minutes, she says.
Okay, you know what? You're right. I am lying. I don't need 10 minutes. I need half an hour. No, 25 minutes tops.
I should be on my way home by then.
I just need to see the house log of 50 Berkeley Square one last time, and I can picture exactly where it is, and in exchange for your time, I will give you... Okay, well, I don't have any cash at the moment, but I can promise you... Don't start locking up, please. Honestly, I've got...
You said 50 Berkeley Square.
Yes, and look, I can be out in 20 minutes. 18 minutes.
50 Berkeley Square?
Yes.
I think I've got something for you.
I'm sorry?
Diary pages. Torn out diary pages. Is that ringing any bells?
I thought those were gone.
They fell out and got filed away somewhere else. Let me see. Belonged to some gentleman named Mallard? Millard?
James Meord. Yes, show me. It is now established fact that James Meord remained in 50 Berkeley Square while all this was going on. He didn't take a carriage home. He stayed in another guest room on the second floor, sleeping soundly. Maybe. Or maybe getting up to no good. His diary entry for the evening begins at dinner. He fills in some of the gaps, adds a little colour. First, he notes that soup is served.
Thank you.
And then it's slurped. And then, from the other side of the table, James Meord sees a young maid struggling to balance a bulbous soup bowl on a slender silver tray. And, as she attempts to serve a ladleful of soup...
I'm so sorry!
The soup spills over Robert Warboys' lap. We don't know if this is the same maid who, later, would stumble across the corpse of Robert Warboys. Perhaps it doesn't matter. What matters is what James Meord sees. He sees his friend grab the maid's collar. Robert pulls the maid in close, whispering something cruel and rotten into her ear before she scrambles out of the room. James Meord doesn't record what Robert said, and we don't find an answer in Robert Warboys' diary because the event is missed out altogether. Clearly, the man self-edited. Whatever was said, the dinner ended. And this is where it gets interesting. Because James Meord claims that he is the one, late at night, through the silence, who hears a gunshot. He scrambles up to the attic, but it's locked. He goes down to a maid's room. He knocks on the door. He waits. Knocks again. By the way, James Meord uses the word valiant to describe his efforts in these moments. He is being valiant as the maid's door opens. And he asks her, no, as he demands.
Open the attic door!
As he follows her, as he tries and fails to save the life of his friend, before letting out a wail. A valiant wail. And that is where the diary entry ends. question, I suppose, is why the police never found out that James Meord was there when the body was discovered. Well, that's because James Meord never spoke to the police, which is suspicious. But it also means that the bigger question, perhaps, is why the maid herself never mentions this information to the police. Also suspicious. Was she threatened and then silenced? So now, the evidence points to 3 possible explanations for the death of Robert Warboys. 1, James Meord. 2, a ghost. 3, a maid in search of revenge.
I don't have long, okay?
You look very stern, Peter.
I read the news section. It was interesting.
But
Why don't you say James Meord did it?
because he might not have.
It seems obvious he did.
Why?
Because he lied, and then he left, and he threatened the maid.
He might have threatened the maid. Thought you wanted me to be rigorous.
I do.
You want me to be concrete, but you also want me to call someone a murderer when there's no evidence.
It's an educated guess.
I think the maid did it.
I'm sorry? You think a vengeful maid did it?
Maybe.
Because of the soup?
Maybe.
Well, why stop there? Why not a serial killer landlord, or a particularly murderous rat? Or maybe Robert Warboys choked to death on a fishbone?
They ate soup.
You know what I mean. We have a bit more evidence, and you have even less time, so tie it up in a neat bow and finish it off. So, do you mind if I...
Sure.
Hello? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'll be down. Sorry, that's... I'm off to Norfolk for the weekend, and that's a taxi to the station.
Ah, the second home.
It was actually my wife's.
Well, I'm
but-
still waiting for my invite, Peter.
Yeah, very good. Look, my job is to stop you failing.
And my job is to pass on my own terms.
Yeah, I don't have time for a standoff. I'm going to be late.
Absolutely.
Why don't you think over the weekend?
Fine by me.
And I'm not trying to patronise you, okay? There's just such a thing as the real world.
You are patronising me.
I'm sorry?
Peter, you're telling me what I can and can't do, and if I start teaching here, I'll depend on your goodwill for my salary. That's the definition of a patron. Now, a lot of people died in that attic, and they can't all have been killed by James Meord. And the idea of someone taking revenge on the powerful and the arseholes of the world, yeah, I like that idea. So I reckon I'm going to keep digging. Okay?
Okay.
Have a lovely time in Norfolk. Do you know how I imagine it? The death inflicted on Robert Warboys. Do you know what I picture? Because whatever truly happened, I like to think it starts with a sharp pain in his spine. It is the first thing he feels, like a warning. Because you know when you're going to die, it's clear. A wave hitting you, the nausea of it. Then, perhaps, a shortness of breath, or a headache, this strong force crushing his skull. And whatever it is that's happening, all Robert knows is that some pain has entered his body, that makes his body shift, that cracks his arms, his legs, his neck, his fingers, as his body simply gives way. And I imagine Robert's body collapses to the floor. His arteries are weighed down, nerves eating away, as something attacks him, as his mind scrambles. And then, perhaps, he feels something drag across his skin, like a cool metal. He tries to concentrate, but he can't. Not for all the sweat, the heat, the darkness. And in that darkness, his mind disconnects. He is a blur. And I find it funny. You know, that someone might think we should take pity. But the problem is that Robert Warboys is not a pleasant man. He's a capitalist, an aristocrat, a landowner with property dotted across the country, a drunk and a violent one at that. So enjoy his pain. Enjoy the fact that at the moment of death, Robert realizes that his body is incapable of supporting life. Enjoy it. Because there is a feeling of deep pleasure that comes from watching the arrogant get crushed. And when he has struggled to his last breath, when there is nothing more to give, enjoy the fact that he slips down through the earth into the darkness below and never reappears.
It's a lot for first thing on a Monday. Have you even slept?
A little. Look, I think that Robert was killed in an act of revenge. That maid, the one he threatened, imagine if she just couldn't help herself. Imagine the satisfaction she'd have if she... And no one ever finds out. No one. Ever. Until me.
This isn't where I hoped you were heading.
Why not? It's exciting.
There's nothing to back it up.
Oh, Peter, live a little. I had a thought. What if I can use part of the PhD to give the maid a voice?
What does that mean?
What if there's a way for her to tell her story from her perspective?
That's called fiction.
No, it shows us what it's like to be in her head.
Except there's no evidence on this maid. We don't know what it's like to be in her head.
No one ever knows what it's like to be in anyone's head.
That doesn't mean you can make it up.
I'm inferring it.
Except we don't know if it's the same maid, which the diaries keep mentioning.
I double-checked. There was one maid working in that house at that time.
We don't even know her name.
That's all the more reason not to ignore her. You're saying no?
I'd ask you to consider how useful it would be.
I'd find it useful.
Useful in terms of pursuing an academic career? To start bringing vengeful, anonymous serial killer maids to life? It's nonsense. I had a lovely time in Norfolk, by the way.
Good.
In fact, I did some work while I was there, trawling through data sets, that kind of thing.
And your wife was happy, was she?
I found an index of inmates admitted to debtors' prison in 19th century London. You know, tedious stuff, except I came across your friend, James Meord. Late 1830s, he turns up. Do you know that?
No.
And I got interested in his finances, and it turns out they were a nightmare. So he owed a lot of money to a lot of people, including our man, Robert Warburton.
It happens.
It does, but it got me thinking. Maybe he wanted to win his debt back, so he concocted some ridiculous plan, this bed, to stay in the attic of 50 Berkeley Square.
This is clutching at straws.
Except when he realised it wouldn't work, bam, kills his mate, wipes out the debt, pretends it was a ghost. Easy. The simplest explanation is always true.
That's simple, is it?
As opposed to your explanation, yes. Look, you have a theory here.
What theory?
If James Meord killed his friend and allowed it all to be blamed on some ridiculous ghost, then you can make a case for the fact that these stories are, I don't know, fairy tales for the upper class, created by aristocrats to cover up their nefarious deeds. Shove that into the next section, you're done.
I think there's more to history than male aristocrats.
But your theory doesn't explain why the maid never mentions James Meord when speaking to the police. Mine does.
What about the other deaths?
Maybe that's just what you did to people you didn't like. Maybe it was an open secret, and apparently a ghost is a good excuse. No one asks questions, they just tell you to avoid the attic.
More aristocrats.
That is how it is.
I prefer my version.
But would it be fair to say that your version is more about what you want to believe than what actually happened? Maybe it's time to leave it there. You know, there's no guarantee of a job after this is all handed in.
I know.
Which means it's a good idea to think about playing your cards right. Does that make sense? In all honesty, I want to keep you on, Martha. I like you, I do, but I need to know you're... How do I put it?
Moving in the right direction.
Precisely. Pick your battles, is all I'm saying.
You're back again.
There's one last thing I want to check.
It's 4 p.m. You're never here this early.
I'm after a police transcription. There was an interview with a woman after Robert Warbur's murder. I've looked at it before.
You think there's more in there?
I don't know.
Follow me.
But, listen.
Yes?
Maybe we could do this informally. As in, not recorded anyway.
Why?
Just in case there's nothing.
Ah.
Are you asking me questions or what?
In a minute.
I didn't kill the poor bastard.
I'm sure you didn't.
I mean, it's not like I'm being interviewed by the police or nothing. It's not like I've got a whole story to tell.
Okay.
What?
Tell me what you witnessed.
Oh, well, It's not much, really, if we're honest.
Right.
Heard a gunshot, opened the attic door, found a dead body. Ew.
And did you notice anything when you found this body?
Oh, I tried not to look.
Great.
Not a fan of corpses, me.
Well, that is incredibly useful.
What about this Mallard fella? He was a pisshead too. Ain't you interviewing him?
My lord.
That's the one. You speaking to him? I bet he's got a lot of interesting things to say.
We will.
Will? What does that mean?
It means once we find him, we'll interview him.
Find him?
He's proving a little difficult to track.
Oh, that's typical, I tell you. I knew it. So he had time to speak to the newspaper, did he? And then he buggered off.
A newspaper?
Oh, he told some newspaper kid this morning how sad he was. Told him all about the ghost, the usual. He was a suspicious-looking chap from the off. The Mallard man, I mean. Slippery too, and you can tell the slippery ones.
I'm sure.
Well, you tell me when you found him, and you tell me what he says, because then I can tell you if he's spouting bollocks or if he's given you God's honest word. How about that? Is that a deal, officer?
Was there anything else?
About what?
The matter at hand?
Ah, yes, yeah. I'm racking my brains, but I'm finding nothing.
Then I think we're done.
Oh, what? Just like that?
Just like that.
You're not going to take my name or nothing?
I don't think we'll be needing it.
What? Ain't you bothered? Hello? Hello? You? I'm speaking to ya. You people listening? To me? Now? Yeah, you. Are you interested? Because my name is... Well, it's been lost, so I can't tell you, can I? I mean, my name is still on the records of employment, the ones that used to be kept in the house. Occupation, maid. Name, who cares? Sometime around 1892, long after I died, some numpty was flicking through the records and spilt a drop of tea on the page, right where my name was. The tea stained, the ink ran, my name got blotted out. If you look today, if you go into the archive, all you can make out is the letter S. So that's your only clue. I have a name which begins with the letter S. Hi. Nice to meet you. This is my real accent, by the way. Police officers love a ludicrous Cockney accent. Hell, most people love a ludicrous Cockney accent. Also, I should say that was all a lie. Everything I said earlier. I don't like telling the truth to some piss-for-brains police officer. Which means I'm here to fill in the gaps, because there is so much more to say about that night.
I thought we weren't doing all this.
I found something new.
You made up something new. This needs to be rewritten.
I think it works.
No, it's made up. It's rubbish. All you have is an incomplete police interview, probably because she had nothing useful to offer. So the idea that you can extrapolate is...
Why can't I?
Do I even have to answer that question?
The police officer who recorded the interview, did you know there were complaints made against him?
No.
So you don't know why people complained?
No.
Because he repeatedly ignored witness testimonies. Mostly women, mostly working class women.
And did this maid make a complaint? Did she?
I don't know.
Right, which means she didn't. Martha, you can't make up voices from the past. A fact is a fact, and if it doesn't exist, you've got to move on. That is all we have. Look, I think there's a lot of good stuff in here. It's true, I really do, but it needs cutting.
Of course.
And if it is cut properly, and if we understand each other, then maybe we can look at getting this PhD the result it deserves.
I'd like to know if I have another option.
Not if you want a career. Martha, do we have a deal?
When Robert is discovered, I go up to the attic because there's a knock on my door. That's the truth of what happened.
Martha?
A knock.
Martha.
Like that. And then this weedy little voice speaks out.
Please. I heard a gunshot from the attic.
That slippery fella. You know. Mallard.
It's my lord. Did you hear it?
But the thing is, and I have to admit it, when he comes knocking, I'm already stood by my bedroom door. I'm clutching the key to the attic in my hand.
Hello?
Then I pretend to get up, out of bed, pretend I'm sleepy, open the door.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
We have to go up to the attic. Do you have a spare key?
Oh, I'm sure I've got one somewhere, sir. Pretend to look in the drawer next to my bed, spend a bit of time, you know.
Can you hurry it up?
Here we are.
Let's go.
Up to the attic. Except you know what happens now. Open that door, find that body. I stand perfectly still while James Meord rushes over to his mate, tries to help him. Hypocrite. Of course he's no help at all. But that's not the interesting bit. The interesting bit is when James Meord turns to me and says,
He was killed by a ghost.
he says the same thing in the morning to the newspaper boy. You can find it in the archive. And they didn't bother with me, but they interviewed him. He was killed by a ghost. And the man's telling the truth, to be fair to him. At least, the truth in the sense that he really does believe what he's saying. Not in the sense of being actually objectively true. Do you take my meaning? Except there's one more interesting piece to the puzzle, and that takes the form of a question. Why was I already holding the key?
So it was
Dinner.
Mr.
Soup. I'm stood in the corner of the room while the three men sit at the table. And when my boss, this man called Uppingham, leans back in his chair and says,
I was going to ask if you wanted more soup.
before the War Boys man nods, and my boss, he snaps his fingers. And I walk over with the serving bowl. That man, War Boys. His finger is tapping, he's sighing. He looks nervous. As I pour out more soup, slowly. And as he looks up at me...
You can't go any quicker.
Sorry, sir.
You have to excuse her. She's new.
That's also a lie. I've been here 5 years at this point, but I'm still not used to the job. I'm clumsy, I hate it. So when he moves suddenly, I lose my balance. The bowl slips, the ladle drops, the soup splashes on his lap. He grabs my collar. He holds me close. He whispers,
I will hurt you.
It's so quick, I'll never forget.
I will hurt you.
And I think, no, I will hurt you. Later, our man Robert asks for tea to be taken in the attic. I make him the tea, a pot. I line the pot with arsenic. I smile as he drinks it.
Delicious.
Glad to hear it, sir.
I can feel the flavours dancing on my tongue.
Thank you, sir.
Remarkable.
And once I leave, I know it won't be a long wait. When I visit Robert Warboys later, I am covered, head to toe, in a black cloak. I bleed into the night. You see, I want to terrify Robert Warboys. As his mind slips, I want to make him feel small and scared. Except there's a problem, because there's two of us at the foot of the stairs, at midnight, waiting to go up to the attic. James Meord, holding a knife, looking like he's got plans of his own. Told you he's a hypocrite. He's hovering at the foot of the stairs. He doesn't hear me approach. Doesn't hear me until... Boo!
Hello. What's going on? What are you? I'm not scared of ghosts. I'm not scared of whatever the hell you are. And just... stay back, please. Don't hurt me.
He drops the knife and is gone. And I know he keeps a diary, but I bet his diary doesn't mention any of this, even the torn out pages. I pick up the knife, scrape it along the banister, and climb the stairs. And this is the fun bit. Watching the drunk, sweating, hot, terrified, bloated face of Robert Warboys as he loses his grip on reality. As I approach him, as that mix of alcohol and arsenic swish about in his veins and I run a knife over his skin. He's feverish, barely conscious, but I place my right foot on Robert's left hand and press all my weight onto it. The bones slowly crunch, and Robert scrambles to break free. With what little consciousness remains, he reaches for his gun, he points the gun, he fires the gun. I'm lucky to avoid it. I hear the bullet whistle past my ear. I watch Robert Warboys, see him try and fail to reload the weapon. And then I'm gone from that room, door locked, back in my bedroom moments before. James Meord comes knocking.
Please, I heard a gunshot from the attic.
4 other men died in that house over the course of 20 years. That timescale does, by the way, coincide with my employment at the house. After I leave, the ghost of 50 Berkeley Square seems to disappear. No one makes the connection. Funny that. My name's Sarah, by the way. There's no point keeping it a secret, even though I'm not real. I've been invented. But the thing is, I'm here, speaking to you, and you're listening. And what I'm saying is true, which has to count for something. Of those 4 men, 3 die in the attic. The 4th jumps out of the window and ends up impaled on a railing outside. It's unpleasant, but those are stories for another time. Right now, you have to figure out whether or not to believe me. I mean, I'm telling the truth. The truth as far as I'm aware of it. But maybe you'll choose to believe someone else's version of it, which is fine. That's how it goes. So maybe this is a ghost story. Maybe not. Maybe it's just some tale about things going bump in the night. Maybe not. Or maybe it's a story about all the nameless people you trust with your life on a daily basis.
Either way,
this is it. We're finished.
Martha?
Sorry. I was a million miles away.
I'm asking if we have a deal.
In 50 Berkeley Square by Sami Ibrahim, Martha was played by Gwyneth Keyworth, Peter by John Heffernan, Sarah by Chloe Sommer, Robert Warboys by Tom Kitely, James Meord by Hughie O'Donnell, and Uppingham by Roger Ringrose. The director was Gemma Jenkins.